4 Charlie Delta, traffic's at your 2 o'clock and 2 miles still eastbound. Copy that now.
Hello everyone, Jack Penning with Volaire Aviation Consulting. Our second edition of the airline industry update with coronavirus. With the help, of course, of Gen XI Productions, we're happy to be able to bring this to you. Here in Portland, it is day 17 of shelter in place. This is the longest I have been home in one continuous stretch since 2008. And boy, does that feel weird. Airlines all weekend publish new schedules. Not every airline has a new schedule published at this point. We are seeing them slowly roll into reservation systems. Delta and United both loaded over the weekend, and we've sent affected airports information on that. Both have available seat miles, ASMs, down 66%. Just this morning, Frontier finally announced its cut for the upcoming month. April will be down 90%, but we haven't seen those cuts roll into the reservation system yet. In North America, total capacity will be down 67%, so that's 2/3. Internationally, down about 90%. There is one sign of hope, though. In China, airlines plan to operate in April about 80% of the schedule that they operated last April. That shows that about 3 months after the peak in China, they are getting slowly back to normal in terms of the airline industry. One thing a lot of you are talking about today was reported by CNBC over the weekend, and that is that airlines are potentially considering code sharing with each other, not the way that regionals code share with major airlines right now. What they're talking about is all of the majors putting their codes on each other's airplanes. So essentially what that means is in a place like Rochester, Minnesota, you might have one flight from Chicago O'Hare coming in, but it would carry the code of both American and United and probably be operated by one or the other. So you'd have an American painted plane carrying passengers who have tickets on United. Similarly, say here in Portland, Oregon, you could potentially see an Eskimo on the tail, Alaska, flying passengers from American, Delta, and Southwest on a flight from LA to Portland. That would be unprecedented. How likely is that? Well, in our thought, not terribly likely. The logistics of making that happen are seemingly insurmountable with all the different reservation systems, but it is an interesting thought on how to get through the next month or 2 months with limited capacity. Now, once we get past these shelter-in-place orders, loads will begin to build slowly. We get a lot of questions from you, and we appreciate the questions about what recovery might look like. And none of us are great prognosticators because none of us have been through this before. There will be concerns about onboard safety being locked in a tube 35,000 feet in the air. Some of those over the short term will be mitigated through social distancing on aircraft. We do know people are searching to book summer trips right now because in our marketing department, we are seeing people booking flights out into the future. So there is some demand for travel beyond May. Some percentage of passengers in that time will also have immunity. They will have already been infected. Those people may be the first ones to get back on airplanes. But what we know for sure is small and medium-sized markets, your service is going to look a lot different than it looks right now. It's going to look a lot different than it looked last summer. In many cases, you will see certain hubs losing all service. So airlines will be consolidating you into the closest hub. An example of that in Tucson, for example, Southwest may decide not to reinstate San Jose, instead flowing those passengers over shorter flights using fewer available seat miles over Las Vegas or Los Angeles, bringing the network in tighter. In a place like Medford, Oregon, we could see United not coming back on LA, instead wanting those LA passengers to flow over San Francisco, which is more efficient for the network and uses far fewer resources. Those kind of changes will likely be seen throughout this industry because there won't be the same level of demand. We were talking about it internally. If we see 70% of the demand in November that we saw last November, that would be a win. What we do know is that demand will come back in pockets. For example, Rochester, Minnesota, Mayo Clinic. As soon as Mayo gives the all clear for its doctors and researchers and nurses and its allied staff to be back on airplanes, and as soon as it gives the all clear to reschedule a lot of the procedures that have been delayed, we're going to see a huge increase in traffic out of Rochester specifically. So it may get back to normal far before some other markets. Similarly, if you have a large research university, by fall research is up and running again, we will see demand increase and potential to be back to where we were before. But in leisure markets, there could be a slower curve. Certainly there'll be some demand for the ultra low cost traveler on an ultra low-cost airline. Hey, we've been locked down for 2 months, we really want to go to the beach, and there's a $29 fare. There will be demand stimulated, but a lot of discretionary trips are definitely going to be put off because people are worried about the economy and they're worried about being unemployed. So the aviation network, bottom line, it's not going to look the same on the other side of this, and it's going to take a long time to recover. But of course, that's where Volaire comes in. We're here to fight for you in your airport and for your routes. Having said that, if there are things you'd like us to talk about on these video updates, please email me. My email is jack.penning@volaireaviation.com. Email me and we'll work that into our next update. We'll try to do these weekly for as long as we can. Thank you for watching and stay safe.